Welcome to the Man of Recaps. This is Game of Thrones Season 7. The season begins with Old Man Walder Frey, but of course he's already dead because Arya slit his throat last season, so maybe it's a flashback as he's having a feast with all of the Frey family. They're toasting to the Red Wedding, but he doesn't drink the wine because it's poisoned! He's poisoned all of the Freys! Whoa, they're dropping like flies, the entire house, and it's not Walder Frey at all, it's Arya! She's wearing his face! Oh! She slaughtered the entire Frey house, got revenge for the Red Wedding, and Arya out. Now it's the newly elected King in the North, Jon Snow. His one and only campaign promise was to defend against the White Walkers, and to that end he sends Tormund Giantsbane, the wildling leader, to go help man the wall. Sansa questions some of his decisions in front of everyone, and he's like, hey, come on sis, you're making me look bad in front of my friends. Down in King's Landing, Cersei Lannister has declared herself queen of all 7 kingdoms. She's made this nice map to prove it, but Jaime points out that she's really queen of only one, like the Lannisters, because the Tyrells and Dorne both sided with Daenerys. He's like, look sis, we need some new allies, and she's like, I have a plan to meet Euron Greyjoy. Last season, Euron won the Kingsmoot by pulling a trump, and he's back this season with an awesome new Rockstar Jack Sparrow wardrobe. He's like, hey Cersei, I'll ally with you if you marry me. And she's like, hey, it ain't no thing if there ain't no ring. And he's like, alright, I'll be right back with something. Now it's Daenerys Targaryen. My girl Khaleesi finally made it to Westeros, or at least to Dragonstone. It's an island right off the coast. It's the ancestral seat of House Targaryen, and incidentally where she was born, so this is quite a good homecoming for her. By the way, this was Stannis' castle. It's abandoned at the moment, but who should show up except Melisandre? She's like, hey Dany, I now believe that you're the chosen one from the prophecy, and Jon Snow is too, you should meet him. And it's like, Jon Snow, is he cute? And she's like, yeah. So she invites Jon Snow to Dragonstone, but meanwhile, it's Samwell Tarly. He's down at Maester College at the Citadel. He's a freshman right now, so he gets all the bad jobs like spooning soup and scooping poop. He's like, hey, the White Walkers are coming. I really should be doing research on how to defeat them, but Professor Slughorn's like, no, that doesn't really sound like a serious issue. So Sam breaks into the restricted section of the library and finds a book that says at Dragonstone they have a mountain of dragon glass. And dragon glass, of course, the stuff that kills the White Walkers, and he's like, I gotta tell Jon. So Jon Snow now has 2 letters telling him to go to Dragonstone. He's like, I know a sign when I see it, I'm going. Sansa, you're in charge while I'm gone. So that's nice for Sansa, but it's really nice for Littlefinger. He's been creeping around Winterfell, and even though Sansa doesn't really trust him, she at least listens when he talks, unlike Jon Snow, who has no interest in anything he has to say. So Jon Snow goes to Dragonstone and he meets up with Tyrion Lannister. Tyrion's hand of queen for Daenerys now, and these two shook hands in season 1 after Tyrion took a piss off the wall. Jon's like, hey, I hope you washed your hands this time, and Tyrion's like, no such luck, buddy. Melisandre doesn't say hi. Jon Snow banished her last season because she burned Shireen. Varys comes up though and is like, hey, I don't like you and your religious magic stuff, I want you to go away. She's like, oh, I'm leaving, but I'm coming back because it's prophesized I'll die in Westeros, and so will you. So she leaves for the season, and that's basically Varys' only scene too. But in any case, Jon Snow meets Daenerys face to face. Missandei reads off Daenerys' long list of titles, the Breaker of Chains, the Unburnt, Mother of Dragons, and Jon's hype man Davos is like, this is Jon Snow, he's a right proper lad. She's like, so Jon Snow, you came here to bend the knee and join my team? He's like, what? No, I came to recruit you and your dragons to help fight against the army of the dead. She's like, what now? He's like, no, the White Walker's real, army of the dead, really could use your help. Dany's like, boy, you bend the knee to me or you get nothing. Meanwhile, Daenerys is trying to conquer Westeros. All of her advisors recommend using her dragons to burn King's Landing to the ground, but she'd prefer to win with less civilian casualties, so she goes with Tyrion's plan to use the Dornish army to simply siege King's Landing. So they go to pick up the Dornish army. Mama Snake and Yara Greyjoy have a quick girl-on-girl makeout scene, but then they're ambushed by Euron Greyjoy! Euron crashes his ship and rides down the plank like an absolute madman. He goes into full beast mode, but Spear Snake wants to fight. He punches her in the face and kills her with her own spear. Then Whip Snake wants to fight, so he punches her in the face and strangles her with her own whip. Then Yara wants to fight, so he punches her in the face too and takes her captive. Theon's thinking of rescuing her, but he freaks out, goes into full-on reek mode, and just bails off the ship. So Euron Greyjoy won, destroyed half of Dany's fleet, killed the Sand Snakes. He has an awesome parade through King's Landing, and he's like, hey Cersei, how about this for an engagement present? Sploosh? He's like, so, you gonna marry me now? She's like, after the war, I will. And he talks to Jaime, he's like, hey, you hear that? Pretty soon you won't be the only one banging your sister. What? Savage! So Cersei goes to play with her new captives. She's like, oh, I've been dreaming about how I'm gonna murder you, and I've decided to go with kissing your daughter on the lips. What? Oh yeah, the kiss of death that she gave Cersei's daughter Myrcella. Cersei's like, yeah, I'm gonna leave you alive to watch your daughter die. Then she goes up to see Jaime because there's no better dessert to murdering your enemies than giving your brother a blowjob. By the way, Cersei is not hiding their relationship anymore. When her handmaiden comes in, she sees Jaime, and Cersei's like, yeah, I'm banging my brother. You got a problem with that? It's like, no, my lady, whatever floats your boat. Meanwhile, up at Winterfell, Bran Stark finally makes it home. A nice Stark reunion. Sansa's like, man, Bran, you've been gone for like 5 seasons. Where have you been? He's like, oh, I was studying to be the three-eyed raven with Tree Gandalf. I trip out on tree sap and then have visions of the past, present, and future. Okay. His friend Mira is like, hey, I got you home safe. I'm gonna go see my own family now. He's like, K-bye. She's like, K-bye? I've been wiping your butt for like 3 seasons here. That's all you have to say to me? He's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I've completely forgotten how to be a normal person. My head's all jumbled up with tree stuff. And also making it to Winterfell is Arya. Yeah, since killing the Freys, she met Ed Sheeran, then met up with Hot Pie, who told her Jon's king of the North now, so she's going up there. Met her old direwolf Nymeria, who she had to throw away back in season 1, but she's too wild now to come home with her. The guards don't believe she's Arya, per usual, but she does make it in. Another happy Stark reunion. Bran's like, hey sis, you spec'd into daggers, right? Littlefinger tried to win me over by giving me his special dagger that the assassin tried to kill me with in season 1. Anyway, it's useless on me, so Arya gets a magic dagger. Brienne and Podrick are in Winterfell too, and Pod's becoming a better swordsman, slowly. Arya goes to Brienne and is like, hey, let's train together, we'll be awesome girl warriors. And Arya shows off her sick, like, battle moves, and Sansa's like, what has happened to my younger sibling? So Daenerys has now lost Dorne and her half of the Greyjoys, but Tyrion has another plan. He's sending the Unsullied to go take Casterly Rock, the seat of Lannister power. Grey Worm is leading the attack, and he and Missandei finally act on their little romance arc. She shows us basically the only boobs of the season. Maybe we're gonna see some dick too, but no, of course Grey Worm and the Unsullied are all eunuchs. To make up for it, he goes down on her, proves that Jon Snow's not the only one who knows the Lord's kiss. Anyway, they have a little castle siege, but Tyrion knows the secret way up through the swords, so they open the gates, let everyone in, they fight a bunch of Lannisters, but it was like there were barely anyone there. Where's the whole Lannister army? They went the other way! Jaime took them the other way just like Robb Stark did to him in season 1. They attack the Tyrell castle Highgarden, and they take it without too much of a fight because Cersei got all the other Lords of the Reach to join her side. They're led by Randall Tarly, who is of course Fat Sam's horrible father. Sam's brother, by the way, is Dickon Tarly, and besides his funny name, he's a pretty good lad. Anyway, Jaime captures Grandma Tyrell. It's like, Cersei wanted me to torture you to death, but I'm just gonna give you some nice painless poison. She's like, oh, gonna glug that right down, because it's a lot better than the poison I gave your son Joffrey. What? Yes, I killed him. Ha ha ha. Now, luckily, the Tyrells had a buttload of gold. Cersei's been meeting with the Iron Bank of Braavos and wants them to help fund the war effort, and they're like, well, we're down, but you already have a huge loan. You have to pay that one off first. So Cersei gives them the Tyrell gold, and they're on her side now. Some of the gold, though, goes to Bronn, everyone's favorite sellsword and Jaime's BFF. Jaime promised Bronn a castle, though, and Jaime's like, look, I promise later you'll get a castle. But now Daenerys is like, I'm sick of losing. Time to stop holding back. So as they're moving the last of the supplies, she unleashes the Dothraki horde. Yes, they're super sweet. They like jump up on horseback, shooting arrows. Jaime's like, hey, we could take these guys, though. But then it's a dragon. Oh, Drogon flying down through the field, burninating all the guys. Oh, unleashed in battle for the first time, and it's everything we could have hoped for. Jaime's like, okay, archers, use arrow attack, but it's not very effective. So Jaime's like, I choose you, Bronn, go use big-ass crossbow, because Cersei's hand Qyburn made this big-ass crossbow, and Bronn shoots it, and it's super effective. Oh, hits Drogon in the shoulder, and he's reeling. It was just a shoulder wound, though. Drogon's okay, so he destroys the big-ass crossbow, but he does have to land. So Jaime sees Daenerys on the ground, and he's like, I can end the war right now with a foolhardy charge. Oh, yeah, go Jaime. But Drogon's like, hey, I'm a dragon. Are you kidding me, bro? I'm gonna burn it at you. So Jaime's about to die, but then he's saved. He's tackled in the lake by Bronn, but then he's wearing all his armor, so he's sinking down. He's still gonna drown. Oh, never mind. Jaime survives. Luckily, Bronn is the best swimmer in Westeros. They make it all the way to the other side of the lake away from the battle, and Bronn's like, hey, you're not allowed to die until I get my castle. In any case, Daenerys won, so she rounds up the survivors and is like, bend the knee or die by dragon. A lot of knees bend, but not Randall Tarly. He's the kind of guy that would rather die than surrender. And so his son Dickon's like, hey, I guess that's the noble thing to do. Me too. And Tyrion's like, yo, he's being dumb. He's a good lad. Let him live. And Daenerys is like, no, he made his choice. So both Tarlys burned by dragon. Oh, and you bet that gets the rest of the knees bending real quick. Back on Dragonstone, Jon Snow is standing around looking super cool. Dany flies home on Drogon, and Drogon goes up to Jon Snow and takes a liking to him, lets him pet him. Dany's like, sploosh? And just then, Jorah comes back. What? He was dying of grayscale, and last season Dany commanded him to go find a cure, so he went down to the Citadel, and they're like, no, you're definitely incurable. But when he found out he's Jorah Mormont, Sam's like, oh, I know Lord commanded Jorah Mormont, your dad, back at the Night's Watch, so I owe you one. So Sam tries the super dangerous forbidden surgery, and he pulls it off. It actually works. Jorah's cured, so they've become best friends for life, and Jorah makes it back to Daenerys, but he is still in the friend zone. By the way, the White Walkers and the Army of the Dead are still coming. Bran's been keeping an eye on them with his ravens, and he's like, hey, Jon Snow, no, the time has come, they're almost here. So Jon's like, I gotta go. Dany, you coming or not? And she's like, I can't leave because if I pull my army back, Cersei will just take it all back. But Tyrion has an absolutely insane plan. He thinks if they could capture a zombie and show it to Cersei, that she would understand the danger and agree to a truce. Jon's like, well, this plan makes no sense, but we only have one season left. We gotta wrap things up. Let's just do it. So Davos smuggles Tyrion into King's Landing, where he has a secret meeting with Jaime. Jaime's pissed at Tyrion for killing their father Tywin, and Tyrion's like, yo man, you knew our dad was a dick. It's like, whatever, just tell me your piece. It's like, hey, temporary truce for the zombie apocalypse. Jaime tells Cersei, and she's like, I'm open to it because I'm preggers. What? Oh, sick. Another incest baby for these two. Congrats. And meanwhile, Davos reunites with an old character. It's Gendry. Oh yeah, he's Fat King Rob's bastard, and last we saw him, Davos sent him away on a rowboat to save him from Melisandre burning him. It's like, what's up, man? You ready to be back on the show? He's like, you know it. I even got a thing. I'm the hammer guy now. As they're leaving, Davos bribes the guards with some boner crab, but then they see Tyrion, so it's gonna be more trouble unless, boom, hammer time. Yeah, Gendry, go. He takes him to meet Jon Snow, and he's like, hey, I'm Fat King Rob's bastard. And these two bust each other's balls a bit and become instantly bros for life. They sail to Eastwatch, the easternmost castle on the wall. That's where Tormund Giantsbane is. He joins the group, and also the Hound, Sandor Clegane. He's with the Brotherhood Without Banners. He joined them at the end of last season, and they spent this season riding north because he saw a vision in the fire. They had to go fight the White Walkers. So it's the Suicide Squad of Westeros, a bunch of the coolest characters all in one place, going north of the wall to fight zombies. It may be a crazy plan, but this is pretty sweet. Gendry bonds with the Brotherhood about how they sold him to Melisandre so she could leech his blood for fire magic. These two bond over Brienne. Tormund has a huge crush on her, and she almost killed the Hound. Jon bonds with Jorah over how Longclaw is actually the Mormont ancestral sword, but Jorah's like, hey, I get it, you're the main character here, you keep it. And Jon bonds with Beric over how they've both been resurrected by fire magic. They brought some unnamed extras with them too, for the purpose of getting eaten by undead bears. Beric and Thoros both have fire swords, so they're fighting it, but Thoros gets all bit up by it before someone takes it down. He's like, hey, just give me some rum, I'll be fine. Pretty soon, the gang finds a conveniently small group of zombies, and they ambush them. Jon Snow, Longclaw, Valyrian Steel, boom, another White Walker dead. Oh, when he dies, all the other zombies die, except for, conveniently, one of them, so they punch that one in the face and take it prisoner. But the rest of the undead army is close behind, so Jon sends Gendry to go run for help, and the rest of the gang gets chased out onto this frozen lake. Luckily, the ice breaks, and zombies fall down in, and the gang is safe for now in the middle, but they are trapped. Luckily, Gendry has incredible cardio after 3 seasons of rowing, so he makes it back to the wall. He's like, send for help. So the guys are sitting around. Thoros dies of his wounds, so the group's lost their priest. No more revives. The Hound is bored, so he starts throwing rocks at zombies. Pretty fun until one of the rocks lands, and the lake has frozen over, so the zombies start coming, and it's time for a fight. It's a super sweet zombie battle, but very quickly they're getting overrun, and Tormund gets grabbed. No, if Tormund dies, I quit the show. Luckily, he's saved by the Hound. The random extras are not so lucky. Things look bleak for our heroes. Nothing could save them now, unless dragons show up. Oh, Daenerys made it just in time, and the dragons are burning all the ice zombies. As you could imagine, it's super effective. But the White Walker leader, the Night King, has something to say about that. He grabs a javelin and boom throw. Oh, dragon in the neck. What? It's all bleeding everywhere. Crashes down. This dragon is definitely dead. That's so sad. So the gang's escaping on Drogon. They even take their captive zombie with them, but Jon's too far away. Oh, he's tackled into the frozen lake. Oh, sorry, Jon Snow, you were sexy, but you're definitely dead. Oh, just kidding. Jon's alive. Turns out he is the best swimmer in Westeros, and nothing to do but make a final stand, unless this guy shows up killing zombies. It's his undead Uncle Benjen. Jon's like, what the F? He's like, hey, Jon, no time to explain. Get on the horse. I'm gonna make my final last stand. So Jon makes it back to the safety. Daenerys gets to see him shirtless, where she finds his super sexy six-pack and also multiple stab wounds. He's like, hey, Dany, I've decided to bend the knee. You're my queen. And she's like, oh, Jon, oh, you're so sweet. But the zombies are pulling the dead dragon out of the lake. Night King's like, hey, guys, you think I can resurrect a dragon? Oh, he does! Undead dragon! What? In any case, it's time for the big truce meeting at King's Landing. The first interaction is between the two Clegane brothers. Remember, the Hound's brother, the Mountain, is Cersei's bodyguard, and he's some sort of undead Frankenstein guy. And in case Sandor's like, hey, Clegane Bowl confirmed, but not this season. Then Jon begins his presentation on how zombies are real. Sandor brings up the box. He's like, no, guys, I got this. No one helped me. And he kicks it over, and it's a zombie, and it runs straight at Cersei, and she definitely now understands zombies are real. The Hound takes him out, and Qyburn examines it. Now, he's a wannabe necromancer, so he's very interested in this. Euron is like, I did not sign up for zombies, so he nopes right out of there back to the Iron Islands. And Cersei's like, okay, I'll agree to a truce while you guys fight the White Walkers on the condition that afterwards, Jon Snow, King of the North, remains neutral in our fight for the Iron Throne. Jon Snow's like, well, this is awkward timing, but I literally just bent the knee to Daenerys, so Cersei's like, fine, no truce, I hope the White Walkers kill you all. Daenerys is like, you stupid, sexy, honorable man, you couldn't just lie a little bit? These two get to talking. She's like, by the way, the witch who resurrected my ex-husband called Drogo cursed me, so I can't have kids. He's like, well, how do you know if we don't try? Oh, you dog, Jon Snow. Anyway, Tyrion's like, let me go talk to my sister, so these two have it out. They really hate each other. She's maybe gonna kill him, but decides not to. She lets on that she's pregnant, and he's like, oh, you're pregnant? So when she comes back, she's like, look, I reconsidered. Not only am I gonna truce, I'm gonna send my forces to go help you guys fight the White Walkers, because honestly, we're all in this together. Hey, it's Theon Greyjoy. He survived, by the way, but his men lost all respect for him because he's a wuss. But Jon Snow gives him a good pep talk, and he's like, hey man, let's go rescue my sister Yara from Euron. And they're like, no, I think I'm just gonna beat you up and kick you in the nuts, but there's nothing there. Ramsay cut it off, so he's like, you have no power here. So he beats this guy to death, which earns him the respect of his men again, and he baptizes himself in the ocean, symbolizing, you know, whatever. Back up at Winterfell, Arya's been following Littlefinger as he sneaks around the castle. She finds the sketchy letter he hid. It's the one Sansa was forced to write back in season 1, declaring their father Ned Stark a traitor, but without the context, this looks really bad, so Arya goes off to confront her, and turns out Littlefinger was set it all up. He was out sneaking the sneak. He did this to cause a rift between the sisters, and it does sort of work, and Sansa finds Arya's faces and realizes just how scary she is, and Littlefinger's like, look, Arya's gonna kill you and take your place as Lady of Winterfell. You have to kill her first. So Sansa has Arya brought in for trial and is like, you stand accused of murder and treason. Lord Baelish? What? That's right, Dick. We talked off screen. We know that you're playing us against each other, and Stark sisters stick together. Sansa's like, look, I know it was you who started the whole conflict of the series by having Lysa Arryn poison Jon Arryn and then blame it on the Lannisters. Littlefinger's like, whoa, there's no proof of any of that. I deny it. But Bran's like, hey, I see everything, past, present, future. I was there when you betrayed our father, Ned Stark. He's like, objection, Your Honor. This evidence is inadmissible. But Sansa's like, I'll allow it. So Littlefinger falls to his knees to beg for his life. He's like, but Sansa, I love you. And she's like, dude, I told you I am not into you. And Arya slashes his throat. Oh, Littlefinger, Vader Baelish, the master schemer, taken down by the unified Stark children. So Jaime's strategizing how to take the Lannister forces north and help fight the White Walkers. But Cersei's like, yo, are you dumb? I was lying. We're not actually going to help. We're going to let Jon and Daenerys and the zombies fight each other. Then we could swoop in and fight the victors. And Euron Greyjoy didn't really bail either. I sent him with a new loan from the Iron Bank to buy some mercenaries, the Golden Company. So they're coming back with, they'll have a big army. We're going to win this war. And Jaime's like, whoa, you gave your word that we were gonna help. I'm gonna go do it. And she's like, if you do, you're a traitor. He's like, what are you gonna do? Kill me? And she's like, maybe I will. And the Mountain pulls the sword. He's gonna kill Jaime. But he's like, no, I don't believe you. And he walks away. Cersei lets him go. So Cersei just drove away the one person that truly loved her. And Jaime rides north alone to help fight the White Walkers. Meanwhile, Sam Tarly is fed up with being shut down at the Citadel. So he steals some books and drops out of college, which is so sad because when he got there last season, he was so excited at becoming a maester, but turns out it's just not all it's cracked up to be. So Sam goes to Winterfell and talks to Bran, who fills him in on the big reveal from last season that Jon Snow isn't Ned Stark's bastard at all. It's Ned's sister Lyanna Stark was his mother, and he's the bastard son of Prince Rhaegar Targaryen. Sam's like, wait a second, Gilly read it in a book, and I didn't realize what it meant at the time, but there was a secret marriage ceremony between Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark. They were in love, they got married, so Jon Snow's not a bastard, he's Jon Targaryen, rightful king of the Iron Throne. Wah! Hilariously, this makes Jon Snow Daenerys' nephew, but they don't know that, so on the slow boat to Winterfell, these two get it on! Yeah! Aunt-nephew incest is relatively tame for Game of Thrones, so we're all okay with it. Meanwhile, up at the Wall, the White Walkers finally arrived with the army of the dead. Luckily the wall's very big, they can't get over it. Unless they had a zombie ice dragon! Wow, swoops in there, breathes the blue fire all on the wall, which is powerful enough to explode and all comes crashing down. Luckily Tormund and Beric make it far enough away, we think. But the wall has fallen! The army of the dead is marching south, winter has come, it's zombie apocalypse time in Westeros, they now have a dragon, and that's how season 7 comes to an end.